Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syarifah Nurhuda binti Rahman, and I am one of the 4 presenters that are going to be presenting about multinational corporation that we choose. The company is Apple Inc. Before we move on to our presentation, I'm going to introducing the 4 members of my groups, which is myself, Syarifah Nurhuda binti Rahman, Iylia Maisarah binti Anwar, Nurul Atika binti Zulkarnain, and lastly Nurul Izzati binti Abdul Jalil. I'm going to start presentation with introduction of MNC. MNC refers to big business that has its headquarters in one country and research center or branches in many other countries, which can collectively referred to as host countries. A multinational corporation MNC like Apple has its headquarters in one country but operate in many others, expanding its reach globally. In 1976, Apple is now a tech giant worth over 2 trillion, which have various products like iPhone, MacBook and iPad. It has over 150,000 employees worldwide and operates in 175 countries. And today I'm going to be presenting about international flow of funds, which contains revenue generations, manufacturing and supply chain, export and import, investment strategy, foreign currency exchange, research and development, dividends and shares buyback, and tax payment. First, I'm going to talk about revenue generation. Apple generates a significant portions of its revenue from international market. Sales and products such as iPhone, iPad and MacBook, and services such as Apple Store, iCloud and Apple Music contribute to the flow of funds into company from various countries. Revenue is typically earned in local currency, which can lead to foreign exchange risk when converted to USD for reporting purposes. Second point is manufacturing and supply chain. Apple source component from multiple countries, example Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and manufactures its products primarily in China. The cost associated with manufacturing and logistics includes payments to suppliers and manufacturers, which represent a significant outflows of funds when Apple pays for components and assembly. The third point is export and import. Apple import products made overseas into various markets, leading to cash outflows for freight, tariff, and other related expenses. Revenue from services provided globally, such as apps revenues and subscriptions, is part of overall earnings in cash inflows. Point number 4 is investment strategies. Apple has historically kept a substantial amount of cash in overseas market to take advantage of lower tax rates and as part of its cash management strategies. Point number 5 is foreign exchange currency. Apple utilizing hedging strategies to manage foreign currency exchange risk associated with international sales and expenses, helping stabilize cash flows and profitability. Point number 6 is research and development. Apple invests in research and development across various countries, incorporating local talent and technology. This requires funds outflow for salaries, operational expenses, and infrastructure. Point number 7 is dividend and shares buyback. Apple's return capital to shareholders through dividends and shares repurchase program funded by its overall cash flows, which may include cash generated from international operation. And lastly is tax payment. Apple is subject to tax in multiple jurisdictions where it operates. The company must manage its tax liability carefully, taking into account international tax laws and treaties.
Next, foreign exchange exposure. Apple is significantly exposed to foreign exchange fluctuation, impacting its global sales and earnings. The company employs hedging strategies to mitigate risks associated with currency movement, particularly in relation to its international revenue and inventory purchases. Foreign exchange exposure overview. Apple generates approximately 58.1% of its revenue from international market, making it vulnerable to currency fluctuation. The strength of the US dollar can affect pricing and competitiveness in foreign markets, impacting overall sales and profitability. I will tell a little bit of foreign exchange exposure refers to the risk that a company faces when its operations are impacted by changes in currency exchange rate. So, for Apple, being a global company with sales, sourcing, and operation in many different countries, it is highly exposed to foreign exchange risk. Apple foreign exchange exposure typically falls into three main categories. The first category, it is transaction exposure, which is this occur when Apple enter into transaction that involve foreign currency, such as sales in different countries or purchasing raw materials from supplier in other currency. For instance, if Apple sell iPhone in Europe, it will receive euros, but its report it is financial in US dollar. Fluctuation in the exchange rate between the euro and the dollar could impact the dollar value of those sales. Two is translation exposure, this is referred to the risk that Apple faces when it consolidates its international financial statement into US dollar. So Apple has operation in many countries such as manufacturing in China, sales in Europe, and other than that. And the revenue, expenses, and profit generated in foreign currency must be converted to US dollar for reporting purposes. Exchange rate fluctuation can make Apple financial result appear more volatile than they might actually be. Category of foreign exchange exposure, it is economic exposure. This is referred to the impact that exchange rate fluctuation can have on Apple long-term market value. For example, if Apple faces higher costs for manufacturing components from overseas due to a weaker dollar, or if currency change make its product less competitive in foreign markets, it could affect Apple pricing, demand, and overall profitability.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Izzati, and today I will explain three major currencies utilized by the MNC in its international business cooperation. MNC is a company that operates business in multiple countries. It has a central business office in one country to monitor business progress from time to time. The example of currency of MNC international business is Apple brand. Many currency used in an international business such as number one is US dollar or USD. The world used the USD as primary reserve currencies for many central banks to exchange goods or services because of the strong economy in US country. So that means that the country hold the large amounts in US dollar as a part of foreign exchange. Number two is Euro. Euro is the second most traded currency in the world right now. Most people will choose the euro currency in the trade activities such as investment, import and export, supply chains, logistics, and trade finance. Number three is Japanese. Japanese yen is the third most traded currencies activities in the world. It because of the Japan is the one of the stable countries that stable in economy, which more people nowadays use Japanese as a currency to trade in business. Central bank in the world also hold the Japanese currency for the exchange trade. Based on the graph, we can see that Euro and USD trend. The currency in Euro fluctuated from January to December 2024. In August 2024 shows that the goods and stable currency for the month. This could indicate relative economic challenges in the Euro compared to the US. So based on the graph, we can see that USD and Japanese trend. Then over the year, the currency of USD dollars in July 2024 is the max rated currency, which are at the moment the economy of country is stable. But started in August to September 2024, the currency of €1 fluctuated. After that, started in August to September 2024, the currency of €1 fluctuated. After that, in October 2024, the currency starts strengthened, shows increase in the currency until end of the year. The fluctuated currency happen may because of the economic factors and demand for the currency. Based on the graph, we can see that Euro and USD trend. The currency in Euro fluctuated from January to December 2024. In August 2024 shows that the goods and stable currency for the month. This could indicate relative economic challenges in the Euro compared to the US. So next, I will discuss the impact of these currency value changes on the company's overall performance. The fluctuations currency of value can give the impact on MNC financial performance, such as in the cost of structure, profitability, and competitiveness. Number one is revenue and profit impact. If the Apple company run their businesses on the country that affected to the negative economic conditions, that means they need to accept the fluctuated currency of profit or revenue from day to day. It because the currency for the one country is not in the static amount. If Apple earns the revenue in a foreign currency and has a weakness against its home currency, the revenue will be decreased when they convert the domestic currency. Two is cost structure. The import goods or other materials from the foreign market will affect the cost of structures if the currency of market fluctuated. For example, if the Apple company purchase material or spare parts from the Japan and suddenly the currency to buy 1 unit Japanese is increased, that means the cost of manufacturing the goods will be increased, and indirectly it will affect the cost of productions, and the total of revenue will be decreased due to high cost of production. So lastly, number 3 is competitive advantage. Currency fluctuated also can affect the MNC competitiveness. For example, if the local currency have a weakness in the markets, it opens the chance of others competitive to show their same product to gain and attack consumer to survey and pay attention to their goods or brand.
Hi, my name is Atika. I will explain about financing international trade. When selling or buying merchandise from overseas market, it is important to use a suitable payment method that are benefit both parties to ensure timely buyer payments and a good trading relationship, especially when it's come to cross-border payments. There are 5 common payment methods for international trade, including Apple. Number 1, cash in advance. Cash in advance is one of the most common and frequently used international payment methods. It's
refers to when a buyer pays a seller the full amount before the goods are shipped. There are several common ways to pay cash in advance. These include wire transfer. This involves the buyer making an electronic transfer of funds directly to the seller's bank account, usually via SWIFT. Next, credit card. Credit card payments are widely accepted, especially for smaller transactions. Payment platforms. Buyer can make payments through online payment service providers such as PayPal and Stripe. International payment gateways. These platforms facilitate international transactions and often support multiple currencies. Using a cash in advance payment method is the safest for exporters because they receive payment before the goods are shipped and ownership changes hands. On the other hand, it is not as preferred for importers because there is a risk of not receiving the goods, which can affect cash flow and business operations. Number 2, a letter of credit (LC), also known as a documentary credit, is a binding promise by a creditworthy bank on behalf of the buyer to pay the seller once the terms and conditions of the sales contracts are met. It is also one of the safest payment methods in international trade. This is because the seller can rely on the bank's reliability and the buyers does not have to pay for the goods in advance. A letter of credit is very useful for larger transactions or when dealing with new or unknown trading partners. Some of the steps that need to be taken are: the buyer and seller must agree on the terms of the sale, including price, quantity, delivery details, and payment method. The buyer must apply for a letter of credit with their bank by providing the transaction details. The bank will first assess the creditworthiness, and after that, the bank issues the LC to the seller's bank and inform the seller. The seller must ship the goods in accordance with the terms of the contract and provide the required documents such as commercial invoice. The seller must present documents confirming the applications to their bank, and if the documents comply, the buyer's bank will realize payment to the seller banks and provide the documents to the buyer. Number 3, documentary collection. Documentary collection is another common international payment method among traders. It involves a bank acting as an intermediary exchanging shipping documents such as bills of exchange and commercial invoice to ensure that the buyer gets the goods and the seller gets paid. Documentary collection only involves the bank as an intermediary for the transaction and is not the same as a letter of credit. Furthermore, it does not guarantee that the buyer will pay. There are 2 ways of document collection that can be done, namely pay at sight, document against payment, or on a specific date, document against acceptance. In a document against payment (DP) arrangement, the buyer can only obtain the shipping documents and goods after making full payment, while in a document against acceptance (DA) arrangement, the seller's bank will instruct the collecting bank to issue the shipping document to the buyer once they receive the time draft to pay on the specified date. Number 4, open account (OA) is one of the most common international payment methods in trade finance. However, it is also one of the riskiest for the seller. In an open account transaction, the seller exporter ships goods to the buyer importer before receiving payment, which is usually due within 30, 60, and 90 days after the invoice or shipment date. It is an attractive option for many foreign buyers, offering flexibility and control in managing cash flow and working capital. The last one, number 5, consignment. Consignment is an international payment method in which the exporter, seller, ships goods to a foreign distributor but retains ownership and only receive payment after the product is sold to the final customer. Exporting on the consignment is risky because the exporter is not guaranteed any payment. However, it helps exporter becomes more competitive because the goods are available for sale to international customer more quickly. Selling on consignment can also reduce the exporter's cost of holding inventory. This is because the distributor is usually responsible for storing and marketing the product. In conclusion, Apple stands as a global leader in technology and is known for its innovation, premium products, and effective international business strategies. Apple has the ability to maintain a strong brand identity due to its strategic management of its international operations, enabling it to dominate both developed and emerging markets. Financially, Apple demonstrates a sound approach to managing its global operation efficiently, managing foreign exchange risk, and financing international trade. In terms of international fund flows, Apple has demonstrated its sophisticated financial management across global markets. Apple has efficiently managed its global cash flow and leveraged its extensive international operations, ensuring that funds are strategically allocated to areas such as research, development, and product innovation. Apple's foreign exchange exposure is a critical aspect of its global business operations because a significant portion of its revenue is generated outside the United States, and Apple faces risks related to currency fluctuations. The company's ability to minimize the negative impact of foreign exchange exposure by hedging strategically can strengthen its position as a global leader in the technology industry. Furthermore, Apple's operation and profits are closely linked to the dynamics of exchange rate determination, as the company is highly sensitive to the changes in currency value. Hopefully, Apple continues to be a prime example of how a multinational company can leverage technological financial leadership and forward-thinking strategy to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving global marketplace.